Sabalenka's soul-searching goes on after Australian Open final collapse. World number 1 has won 4 and lost 4 Grand Slam finals, but manner of some of those defeats raises questions. An hour after another excruciating loss in a significant final, Aryna Sabalenka was asked about her record in Grand Slam finals. She responded by lamenting the fact that she had lost the majority of those she had played. She was mistaken. Her bitter defeat to Elena Rybakina in the Australian Open final on Saturday left her with a 4-4 record in major finals, a poor but not ruinous record. However, considering how many great opportunities she has let pass her by over the past few years, it made perfect sense that, in Sabalenka's mind, she is already a dozen defeats down. The Belarusian continues to compile a fascinating career. So few players in the history of the sport have put themselves in position to compete for the biggest titles as frequently as Sabalenka. She has reached 5 of the past 6 Grand Slam finals and 8 overall. In her past 13 Grand Slam tournaments, she has reached 12 semifinals. The only time she failed to make the final 2 rounds of a slam was when she was dragged down by food poisoning in the quarterfinals of the 2024 French Open. Still, she took Mira Andreeva to 3 sets. This is a remarkable level of consistency, a reflection of her overall mental toughness and her ability to handle the pressure that accompanies the early rounds of Grand Slam tournaments. For 90% of the time, Sabalenka looks by far the toughest and most formidable player in the world. However, her mental strength in so many different scenarios has repeatedly been counterbalanced by her inability to keep her head in the big finals. Once a major is in touching distance, Sabalenka is just as likely to lose her head as she is to thrive. A significant amount of effort has already gone into addressing these problems. Sabalenka has worked with a sports psychologist in the past. She has been refreshingly frank about her mental deficiencies and how she becomes so unsettled in the most important moments. She knows as well as anyone that her wavering performances in finals are all about pressure, nerves, and being able to think clearly enough to problem solve when a major is up for grabs. Compared to some of her previous losses, such as her defeat to Coco Gauff in last year's French Open final, Sabalenka's loss on Sunday was not a catastrophe. Rybakina is the player of the moment and one of the few competitors who can outserve and overpower the 27-year-old, as she did in the key moments. However, losing 5 games in a row in the 3rd set of a Grand Slam final from 3-0 up is unacceptable for the best player in the world. After brilliantly maintaining her composure to turn around a slow start, she became visibly agitated at the most important period in the match. Once again, she paid dearly for it. Sabalenka will leave Melbourne at an important crossroads in her career. Her achievements are already incredible. She is a 4-time Grand Slam champion. She has been number 1 for 75 weeks and has won 22 titles. She is still the main character of women's tennis right now, and one of the best players of her generation. However, considering how many opportunities she is giving herself to win these majors, Sabalenka has a realistic chance to establish herself as a legend of the game if she can just overcome her fear in the decisive moments of the Grand Slams. Although she continues to provide herself with opportunities each tournament, this run will not last forever. At 27, Sabalenka is at her physical peak and her game is as complete as it has ever been, meaning the pressure is on for her to understand how she can better handle these moments. Towards the end of a painful post-match dissection, after addressing her crushing defeat with both dark humor and frank honesty, Sabalenka took a deep breath and cast her mind ahead. "Ambitions are still the same," she said. "Keep fighting, keep working hard, keep putting myself out there, and try my best if I'll have another chance in the final. Just go out there and do my best. Then just try the same, Try to see how many of them I can get." An incredible cell phone. In 1936, John Scott, son of the late Guardian owner and legendary editor C.P. Scott, did something unheard of for a media heir. He gave up his stake for the greater good. After inheriting the newspaper, Scott renounced all financial benefit, bar his salary, in The Guardian, worth £1 million at the time and around £62 million today, and passed ownership over to the newly formed Scott Trust. The trust would evolve to have one key mission: to secure the financial and editorial independence of The Guardian in perpetuity. That means The Guardian can't be bought. Not by private equity, not by a conglomerate, and definitely not by a billionaire looking for a political mouthpiece. Our independence means we can say what we want, report on who we want, challenge who we want, and stand up at a time when others are sitting down. But this unique model also means we depend on readers like you from Bangladesh to help fund our work. If you would rather the news you read was the result of decisions made by journalists and editors, not shareholders or ultra-wealthy tech bros, then, well, you know what to do. Sabalenka's soul-searching after Australian Open collapse. A deep, human story. On a balmy Rod Laver Arena night in Melbourne, one of tennis' fiercest competitors stood motionless, her gaze fixed on nothing and everything all at once. Aryna Sabalenka, world number 1, had just seen a remarkable lead slip away, a 3-0 advantage in the third set of the 2026 Australian Open final, only to be overturned by Elena Rybakina, who claimed the title in a thrilling 6-4, 4-6, 6-4 victory. What unfolded wasn't just a tennis match. It was an emotional jolt that sent ripples through the sport and reignited a familiar inner battle for Sabalenka. For a player with a near-encyclopedic mastery of power, athleticism, and competitive instinct, to experience such a loss, particularly from an ostensibly winning position, is more than a statistic. It's a moment that forces an athlete into reflection. Why, time and again, does the game slip away just as it seems within grasp? This is the essence of Sabalenka's current soul-searching. A champion on paper, but a work in progress in the mind. On tour, Sabalenka is an imposing figure, strong serves, brutal ground strokes, and a fiery spirit that has won her multiple big titles. Yet, beneath the physical gifts is a psychological landscape that's been both her engine and her enigma. After the final in Melbourne, Sabalenka was visibly emotional. In the immediate aftermath, she briefly draped a towel over her head in frustration and disappointment, a symbolic moment representing more than just a lost match. During her press conference, she oscillated between candid self-criticism, humor, and vulnerability, laughter, tears, and even a cheeky "F you" to her team when asked about reviewing the match immediately, illustrating how raw and jumbled her feelings were. "I was really upset with myself. Once again I had opportunities," she said, echoing a refrain familiar in her career, missed chances. Sabalenka has remarkable consistency, reaching 12 of the last 13 Grand Slam semifinals and holding a respectable 4-4 record in major finals. Yet it's those finals, the moments closest to immortality, that have become the mirror she loathes to confront.